Hi dancers. Today we're going to work on finding our rib cage anchor, finding the correct alignment and stacking of the rib cage. Well, one of the problems we have so much in dancing is our teachers tell us to pull up, and many times we do the pull up in the front of our body, a very external pull up, which is actually pulling back and makes us too chesty, and this way we fall out of our turns. Or if you're doing ballroom dancing, when the man does this, he pushes his partner away. And it's especially difficult for the lady in ballroom dancing if she needs to take the curved shape on the top and she's doing it through her rib cage pushing forward. So we lose balance and we become very heavy to our partner. So finding that, many times our teachers may tell us to drop the chest or to close the rib cage, and we can end up sometimes with our students doing this, or we can do it ourselves. In ballet for many years I fell out of my pirouettes because I never understood what the pull-up meant. So every time I would turn, I would lift my chest up and open the rib cage and fall backward. So the pulling up may be better described as a lengthening and a sense, an internal sense of moving up through the spine into a vertical line. Now our spine is curved, but the vertical line is the weight fall through those curves. So what I'm going to feel is that line through my ears, down through my shoulders, down through the pelvis, and into the floor. I'm going to use the chair. Many times some of my students have trouble doing floor work. They can't get up, they have bad knees, maybe they're heavy, or they're uncomfortable doing that. So I'll often use a chair in the studio, and I put a towel on the back of this chair. You need a chair with a straight back. So what we're going to feel is that the lower portion of the rib cage, down here before you get into the lumbar spine, this is the part that tends to be weak and to overarch. Sometimes we attempt to correct that by having people tuck the pelvis, but we're not getting to the source of the problem, and we're creating another problem. So what I'm going to do now is take the lower portion of my rib cage and press it, not just back against the chair, but a feeling of rolling my rib cage in this direction. The rib cage is draping off of the spine. It's not hanging off the sternum in this way. So that connects to the sternum. The origin of the ribs is from the back. So I'm going to feel that I'm scooping under my rib cage and feeling the lower border of the rib cage is against the chair. We don't want the shoulders to fold in. We'll keep the shoulders open. This can be difficult. We open the shoulders, the rib cage pops. We put the rib cage down, the shoulders pop in. So be patient. In this chair I can also rest my shoulder blades against the chair and really lift up with the lower portion of the rib cage. Now if I add to that contracting the pelvic floor muscles, I talked about this in my belly dance video when we worked on the deep tuck. The sit bones at the bottom of the pelvis, the bones that you sit on, if we pull them together like that, you can see in the chair that I'm bouncing up out of my chair. I'm also going to pull the navel back. So when I'm putting the border of my rib cage back, I'm also going to engage the pelvic floor. Now if I don't tilt my head back, this will give me a feeling of upward movement in my spine. This is a lengthening movement. The lengthening movement is being supported by the contraction of the pelvic floor muscles at the base of my spine, forming like a hammock to lift me up. And the feeling again when I press the rib cage back against the chair, I'm also having a feeling as though there's a string in the bottom of my rib cage that goes up to the back corner in the ceiling. So I have the support from the lower spine, I have the lift and the rolling of the rib cage under here, and I'll feel as though I'm just allowing my head to push up. So my head is in a conversational position, not this position where we often feel that we're lifting our head, we're actually dropping our head. So pelvic floor, rib cage, and allowing the ears to move up. In addition to that, if you press your heels into the floor, you'll have a sense of grounding, and you'll mimic the feeling of what you'll find when you stand up. It's much easier to find this position when we're in the chair than when we're standing. In our next video, we'll do some floor work. If you're able to work on the floor, your students are able to work on the floor, and work again with increasing the difficulty of that.